Hello and welcome to the shop. It's been a while, simply because I've just been busy doing a lot of other little projects, buying a house, things like that. But it's been a while since I've just gone back to the very basics, gone to where I started from, and turned a bowl. Just a bowl. No ulterior motive, no nothing, just a bowl. I've got a lot of new viewers on other apps. I've got a lot of new viewers here on YouTube, and what I'd like to do is walk through step by step from start to end one method of turning a bowl. There are other methods, I've learned other methods, and we will go through those at a later date. But today I'm going to start from where I started from, using the techniques I've picked up over the past 6 years. At the end of this video, I'm going to compare the bowl I make today to one that I made when I was starting. So I'm kind of interested to see what the difference is, and if I can see it, and if you can see the differences in how I produced a bowl. One big difference is I have a bigger lathe now. This is about 11 inches across piece of walnut. Thanks again, as always, to Bart at Logs to Treasures for this wonderful dry piece of walnut. I really appreciate it. And I've already got it prepped. I've got it drilled at the center to mount with a woodworm screw, and we're going to walk through every step of that process for new turners. Old turners, you can watch it too, of course. And listen, I'm here to learn. I want to learn. So if you see me doing something that I could improve on, or a technique I could improve on, by all means, hit me in the comments, share some tips with me. I'm here to learn and grow, and then pass on what I learned. So please, if you're an experienced turner and you're watching, and you see something that you think I can improve on, by all means, constructive criticism is always welcome. So we're going to get started by mounting this bowl, and I'll walk you through that process. There are a lot of different ways to do this. I happen to use Novichok. I was introduced to Novichoks by my mentor, Bob, who put me at his full-size, bigger lathe, and he had a Supernova 2 chuck, which is a larger size for a larger lathe. This is the Nova G3 Anniversary Edition. I really, really love this chuck, and I've got the large jaws on it, 100mm jaws, and this is the woodworm screw that comes with the Nova chuck, and you will see that it has flat surfaces on the woodworm screw and a groove here that corresponds to flat surfaces on the jaws of the chuck inside. So if you rotate the chuck a little bit as you get it set, you feel when you get it on the flat surfaces. You want that chuck pulled as far out as possible, and it'll hold it and you'll feel it. And on those flat surfaces, if it's not on surfaces, if it's on the round, when you start turning, it's going to rotate and your bowl's going to get loose. So you need to make sure it's square, and you can see both the 100mm and the 30mm jaws do this, or 60mm jaws do this. You can see that they're almost closed. So make sure that you get that on there correctly. So I'd already marked the center and drilled a 5/16 hole. I'm going to thread onto the woodworm screw. The threads of the woodworm screw are sharp and very wide, so that they will cut themselves into the side. So you want a good tight fit, and then you want to just thread that on. Now, I am making a mistake, and all you longtime turners know exactly what I'm about to say. Get your banjo out of the way. When you're pushing the maximum limits of your lathe and you put a bowl on, if your banjo isn't on the outside of that bowl, you're not going to be able to pull it away and turn the outside of the bowl. So make sure your banjo is outboard. Got good threading here. So you want to firm it up nice and snug. On this lathe, the spindle locks, and that should do. Now I'm going to give it a little turn here. It's a little tiny bit off center, a little bit off balance, but not bad, not bad. So what I like to do after I get it mounted is turn my lathe all the way down and spin it up and just see where I'm at as far as balance. And this bowl is pretty good. I did a good job. I can turn right at 800 RPM to get it to the round. So now that I've confirmed that, I'll get my tailstock involved and get started. All right, after I confirm that it's on balance or fairly on balance, I like to bring my tailstock in for a while just to add a little bit of extra security. One thing of note is that you need to be able to move your banjo. So as much as I don't like having my quill extended too far, in order to have enough clearance that one, the tailstock actually has some effect, but two, I can still maneuver my banjo to get my tool rest where I need it, you have to start with your quill extended fairly far and your tailstock back away so that you have room. Just something you note. Now this is walnut, and walnut is acidic, so it's very, very wise to use protection. I use a Trend Air Shield Pro. You can use a N95 mask and a face shield. This is air quality, filtration, and face shield all in one. So the first mission is to get these corners off and get it round so that it's balanced. I'll be using my Thompson 5/8 bowl gouge with a shorter winged Ellsworth grind. So I've got some punky wood here, and I've got a crack up here. I'm going to lose at least the top inch of this bowl, but I may be able to save it below there. It's not quite round, I still have a flat spot. Alright, we've got a crack here that's going to change my game plan for how to finish this bowl. So I'm going to treat it with some CA glue and see if we can't salvage this and keep it from coming to pieces once I flip it around. I started with the thin to get it soaked deep in. Now I'm going to fill the surface cracks with the medium thick black, which is vulcanized cyanoacrylate. And if I'm going to keep this bowl from coming to pieces on me, I will probably have to stop and re-glue it multiple times. Still got some punkiness here. I'm going to try to take some very, very close, tight passes and see if I can't clean this up. Still in the shaping process, and then I'm going to flatten this. We're going to go with a sacrifice block. I can't put a mortise in here. It'll blow out the sides and a tenon will shear. It's as dry as this is. You can see kind of openness in the grain because this is so dry. A tenon will shear right off of this, so we're going to have to glue it, use a glue block and sacrifice the glue block. I don't see any other way to do this safely. Okay, so as we start making finishing cuts, I'm seeing some more cracks. So I'm going to do a little bit more glue. See if we can't get this to hold together. I'm not real sure about this bowl. This might not be a bowl. Let me get my cardboard here. Okay, we've sanded through 400 grit. Now I'm going to use Brad's Workbench Abrasive Paste. And then this is going to get finished using Brad's Workbench Tung Honey off of the lathe. I apologize for the laundry sounds in the background, but it is what it is. It's laundry day, and I wanted to jump in and give you a little play-by-play of what's going on. Unfortunately, I lost some of the video of when I reversed the bowl and turned away about the top inch of what would have been the inside. I had already planned on doing that. I talked a little bit about it at the beginning because of the cracks that I found. So here I'm just removing the bulk of the bowl and beginning the rim. I always try to leave the center of the bowl in place as long as possible in order to support the edges, the walls of the bowl. As you get deeper into a bowl, especially if you're turning a bowl in the thinner side, those walls will actually flex as the bowl is turning due to centrifugal force and get oblong and create vibration and make things very difficult. So the longer you can leave the bulk in the center of the bowl to support those walls as you work your way down, the better results you get as you turn. I almost always turn the edges and work my way towards the middle rather than hollowing from the middle out, simply because of that reason. this is where these cracks are starting to cause me a real problem. So I'm going to take a little time and do some filling and see if I can't salvage it. This bowl may fail, and I knew I was dealing with this, but I was hoping I would get past it. These cracks, got to get some attention paid to them. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to save this bowl or not. Okay, so we've filled and glued up multiple fairly serious cracks, which we've also attached from the outside. I'm going to do my best to try and keep this bowl from disintegrating, but we'll see. As yet to be determined. This could just come apart on me at any moment, or it could hold just fine and be a really beautiful piece. I guess there's no other way to figure out what's going to happen except to see what happens. Okay, it's doing well, but I'm seeing that these cracks still need a little filling. It's holding. I'm impressed. I wasn't sure that this was going to work, but I've got to do some more crack filling before I do my final scraping. Since I am so close to the finished surface of this bowl, I am going to do something that usually, like on the outside, I didn't bother because I knew I was going to take some more cuts. However, here on the inside, I'm not going to take many more cuts. I'm going to have to switch to scraping. So what I'm going to do is hit the areas where the cracks are with sanding sealer. This is myelin cellulose sanding sealer, before I fill the cracks with CA glue. The reason for that is CA glue has a tendency to kind of bleed out into the wood around it and change the color, stain it. But if you hit the surface with sanding sealer or shellac or lacquer before you put the CA glue on there, it actually prevents that from occurring. The glue still gets into the crack, but it does not mar the surface. So this is not the finished surface. However, because it's so close, I'm not going to be able to take much more off of there. I am going to treat it so that I don't mar the finished surface with the glue. And I will probably have to stop and do this 2 or 3 more times. There's quite a few radiant cracks here towards the pith. I managed to turn the pith away, but I'm still seeing the effects of where the pith was on the outer edge, upper edge of this bowl. But since it didn't explode when I got it to this point, it's probably going to make it, so I'm going to treat it as though it's going to make it. Alright, we've got that Brad's Workbench abrasive paste buffed in. We're going to take it over to the workbench, separate the bowl from the mounting block, and then we're going to do a little bit of a friction check and clean up the base. Okay, so as you saw while turning it, had a lot of challenges with this bowl, primarily because although I did get clear of the pith We still had some other figure to deal with. It was very, very heavily cracked radially, and managing to save it. I'm not sure if you could see those on the camera or not, but managing to save it and walk away with an actual bowl was a challenge. I don't have the exact bowl that I wanted to compare this to on hand. However, I have a bowl from the same period of time. First of all, I want to say that a lot of times, especially in the past, I was limited by the amount, by the size of the pieces of wood that I had available. I had a large stack of slabs that I have since chopped up and turned. So there are a lot of pieces that are going to be thin and wide, such as this. Of note, there's a crack in this right here, and it looks like I didn't address it at all. I didn't fill it. I can see a lot of things that maybe another experienced wood turner would see, but that most people wouldn't notice. Some tool scarring, bruising, some tear out, and then just a matter of design. Again, I was limited by having a very low, squat piece of wood, so this is more of a tray than a bowl. Understanding that there were some mistakes that I made. And it looks like initially I might have thought about grabbing a tenon rather than using a recess. And this is kind of a neat feature. This is my old style of signature, and that's a neat feature, but I really didn't clean up around the edges of that recess very well in finishing the base. There's some things I could have done a lot better. Now here, again, I had a bit of a deeper piece of walnut, and it was smaller because this came out of a slab, this came out of a log. So one of the first changes is I'm turning a lot more logs, and you get a lot more variety in the wood when you're using logs. Slabs dry both vertically and horizontally. Logs primarily dry out the ends. So you're going to get things like these radial cracks. You get a deeper piece. Obviously, this is almost a full inch deeper. And then form-wise, I love this dish shape I managed on the inside of this bowl. I really do. And I have almost a perfect OG. It's a little bottom heavy. If I had taken maybe 1/8 of an inch more off the bottom, I'd have a good OG here. Again, this is a design element I wasn't thinking about when I made this bowl. Here's what I don't like. This is a 10-inch bowl, and this is a 5-inch base. I think this should be a 3 to 3.5 inch base. If I had taken this a little bit narrower, taken this curve here down a little deeper. I follow this curve almost exactly on the inside, but because it doesn't quite get a little further around the corner before it tucks down into the OG, it feels like it's an incomplete shape. And again, this is too deep. I need 1/8 of an inch less OG, or for this curve to come around a little bit further. Now, again, this is not a terrible bowl at all, but it's also not an award-winning bowl. And I understand that. Turning is always growing, always changing, always progressing, always learning more. And I think it's important to look at your work from 3, 4, 5 years ago and your work now and compare where it was then, where it is now, and look forward to where you want to go. Those are my thoughts. I also really like signing with a laser. This is just a lot more fun. I can do more things, like I can name the recipient of the bowl and the signature, things like that. I enjoy that. Is it technically any better? I don't know. I find it to be much more enjoyable to me. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Again, this is kind of a before and an after. This is 4 or 5 years ago. This is this week. Let me know what you think. Thanks for joining, and remember, just one more pass means put the bowl gouge down.